and then the engine just smokes and it blows up. And so we just decided to just push it off to the side of the road, and where it blew up was in a perfect place, right there next to where we walked down a little bit, and there's this little river, tiny little river that was coming down, but we were way up in the mountains, like above timberline. We found this nice flat little area, and the next day we ate acid, like gel acid that I brought back from America. It was her first time tripping. It was really fun. Like we ate it, and then like a half hour later, we're all just kind of hanging out there. And then all of a sudden, like 50 or 100 goats just like walk right through our camp, and she starts going bah, and I was like, huh, bah, and then that's when we realized we were tripping. And so the goats like walk by, and we're like talking to them, and they're eating the water out of the river, and they hang out for like an hour and then walk off, and then then we started making this like little like river, tried to make a pool of river, but we kept like tried to make a wall, but the more you make the wall, it like pushed the water aside or something. Anyway, it was trippy. I don't think we even got in the water because it was so cold. But there was this other little pool over here where the water kind of broke off, and then it fanned down and was passing through this big wide grass, really green grassy area, which was next to where we were camping out, but we found a dry patch, but it's going through, and then it all coagulates in this pool that I just sat in, and because it had been getting baked from the sun, when it coagulated in this pool, it was as big as a small bathtub. It was totally warm. So it was like hot springs, only it was heated by the sun. So I just laid in there. We laid in there for like a few hours. It was pretty cool. And I brought it was funny. We were looking on a telescope to this like some campesino's stone hut that was a long ways away, and you could see this like the heat bake off the top of it, and she's like, is there water falling off the top of the roof of that house? And then I looked up at the mountain, this big mountain that was behind the lake, and I could actually see footprints going up the glacier, up the couloir to the top of the mountain. It was beautiful. It looked like it would have been an amazing mountain to climb. I didn't do any mountain climbing or anything while I was there because I just never had a car, and so I just did the mountain biking with my buddy. So then we coasted the car down after our trip. We stayed there like 2 nights, or we stayed there 1 night. No, we stayed there 2 nights, I think. And then we coasted the car down to like the first town, and then took the bus back, and I guess we had her uncle come out and get the car, and he tried to tell me I was driving the car too fast or something to overheat it, but what happened was when you pour under the engine, you have the windshield wiper fluid, and then you have the coolant, and it's water cooled. And he filled the windshield wiper fluid up, but he didn't fill the water coolant up at all. And when he pointed it to me, he said that the water coolant was the windshield wiper fluid, and the windshield wiper fluid was the water coolant. And I was like, whatever, I'll have a closer look at the engine later. But what I didn't like actually look closer at the car and notice that there was no water. He never put water in the water coolant, so the car overheated. So I had to bring it back to him, and he charged me to fix the... No, I didn't bring it back to him that time. Well, I remember I brought it to him twice, because both times I brought it to him, I remember he took all the gas out of the engine. But anyways, so I guess it broke down 3 times. But the last time I got it fixed, I didn't want to take it to him. I took it to a local mechanic. And the local mechanic fixed it, and we just decided to sell the car. I didn't want to try and go on another drive and have it break down every time I drive it. I don't know if that was a good idea. Probably wasn't. She didn't want to sell it. She wanted to have a car. But I was just fed up with having cars break every time I drive it, so I sold it. Probably shouldn't have done that, actually, in retrospect. because we could have used it to drive down to Peachy Lima and stuff. But I went down there a couple more times to do surfing for a couple weekends or whatever, but we took the bus, and that's just a pain. Once the bus stopped on the edge of town, and we had to get the stuff out, but while I had my surfboard halfway out, the guy tried to take off because it was actually illegal to park there. I guess the cops had come up or something, and I barely got it out in time before it went past a tree. It would have chopped my surfboard in half. But anyways, yeah, so I didn't have a car anymore, and I had given up on the Mini, and I knew nobody was gonna be able to fix it. Oh no, that's when I gave the Mini to this guy in the south, because he was gonna, and I actually bought a brand new engine. I bought like a 1996 Toyota Corolla engine or something that I was gonna put in it, but the mechanic never put in it because he had the car for a year. And by the time, you know, we brought the car back, I think we were already planning on coming back to America or something. So I just never got that car fixed and just sold it to her brother. He was gonna pay me, but so yeah, I was in Chile 3 years the first time, and then I go to America 2.5 months, and I was there for 2 years. So the second time I was there, yeah, we were doing a lot of mountain bike rides with Tony. On one occasion, we did with my ex-wife and her son. We went up to La Parva and camped out on the other side on the ski resort, and like kind of right at the end of the ski season for like 4 days, right at the next to a river. That was cool. And one summer for 3 weeks, Tony and I went on a 16-day trip, I think it was, backpacking trip, looking for the plane that crashed in the movie Alive. But we went way up we didn't know exactly where it was, and nobody knew where it was. I mean, now everybody does with Google Earth, but we didn't know. So we went over to the end of this valley and then hiked over some like active volcano, and then down and back, and then back up again because our lighter broke. I only had one lighter and that broke. So we had to get another lighter, so we spent another day at Termas de Flaco, and then hiked up again and back up, and then we saw where the plane was, but we couldn't hike down there, and it was actually the way that they escaped when they finally left after being there for like 79 days. But we saw that we would have had to hike over a glacier, and they hiked over a glacier, which was treacherous, which was dangerous for them. But yeah, we didn't want to risk falling into a bottomless crevasse, so we decided we'd just come back next year and hike it from the other direction, which we did. We came back next year and hiked it from, you go to Termas de Flaco, you cross a river, which sometimes is really like raging, and you can barely cross it, bringing a rope. Having somebody hold onto a rope would be a good idea. And then you hike up a valley. We actually saw 2 jaguars from a long ways away. And then we saw 2 things that looked like humans walking, but then we realized they were like llamas. I don't know if llamas, it's not a llama, but it's some kind of Andean elk type of Andean deer. And those things will run, oh my God, the year before when we hiked there, we saw a bunch of them, and they were running down the cliffs like goats, like fast. It was crazy. We hiked straight down this mountain. We camped at over 14,000 feet, which was really difficult because we were breathing the whole time. And then hiked down, straight down something, and that's where we saw those things. We pushed this rock that was like this big down the mountain, and it so happened to hit some like big ridge thing where it launched off of a ramp, and it went like so high. It was like 50 meters straight up in the air, just spinning, and then landed, and then just rolled as far as you could see. It was awesome. You had to be in there. Anyways, so we go up the next year. So you hike up the valley after Termas de Flaco until you get to, the wall of rocks, and you just go over those rocks, and right on the other side is the plane. What happened was the plane wasn't as low as they thought it was, and then all of a sudden they see a mountain in front of them, so they bank up, and then the back of the plane hits, and then it does like this, and then just landed and slid down the side of the mountain, which was really big. I mean, that area actually, I was thinking when we went there, would have made a really cool ski resort, man. I mean, one day I hope it does make a really awesome summertime glacier ski resort, because Like the ridge that the plane hit,